If you are a 90s kid, you understand the nostalgia of watching the 2023 remake of the classic 90s anime Rurouni Kenshin. But of course, there will surely be some polishing or upgrade on the classic to give the younger otakus a modern feel, upgrading the anime to today's standard. And here are the big changes to the original Rurouni Kenshin. Were these changes a hit or a miss? Let's find out. There is a particular group of people who will never approve of remakes just because they appear different. Even while anime is still heavily hand-drawn on paper, 90s animation was superior because it was hand-drawn rather than this digital force chip. Then others judge the visuals just based on how tidy something seems. That means there is no chance for the original. Even though Kenshin was one of the greatest directors of that decade, the film grain is too much. This appears outdated, which suggests poor animation. That's a harsh way to criticize vintage anime. But one thing you immediately notice is the suspense you get from the tight camera angles. Directors often get creative and frame conversations in interesting or sometimes intense ways. But here, even the storyboard is flattened. In the original, there are many tight, tilted camera angles used.
Prepare yourself! Ha!
Like when Garu charges forward or Kenshin slips. It's purposely done to give the audience little information, so the actions feel unpredictable and thus sudden. You can see the master's touch here as it brings a sense of excitement. Indeed, a pleasant surprise. A fresh character designer later, here we are in 2023, back for the 50th iteration, with Terumi Nishi's perspective this time. She's not a newbie now. The first season of Jujutsu Kaisen, Death Note, a little amount of One Piece, and the movie were all character designs by Nishi. She's been in the industry for a while, and it's interesting to note how her methods differ from those of Hideki Hamasu. One of the most notable was that Hamasu's designs initially showed a face that was long and pointed, even for younger characters like Yahiko. However, now that the face is shorter, more comprehensive, and rounded off, it resembles the manga considerably. In addition, the mouth and nose of Hamasu's art are significantly smaller than those of the manga, while Nishi's are more prominent. However, aside from a few tiny nuances, their designs and methods aren't all that different. Say Hagiwara for the Kyoto Arc remake, which was unquestionably the most significant stylistic swap-up yet. You've still got the two-tone shading of the big eyes and hair. Both takes have strong appeal, but yeah, to the episodes. To be honest, I think the visuals of the early 96 version are as good as they go.
It's undefeatable. And then one day, as the screams
my god, such fantastic framing of Kenshin's still position with all the carnage, flames in particular, and bodies behind him. The trail follows his path and then covers it even after he leaves. Vibrant colors with deep red tones are present. The visuals are all unique. They now resemble elements from the original backstory in the updated version. It is surprising to see Saito here, given that one of the primary selling points of this remake is that it is more faithful to the original work. Even the 96 version adhered quite closely to the manga's framework, despite all the liberties it took. To provide some background, let me say that Saito didn't debut until chapter 48, although in the original anime, it happened in episode 28. It would be similar to introducing Beast Titan in Attack on Titan's first episode. In any event, it does present a chance for some action, which is the primary draw in the remake scenario. The actions are highly readable and powerful in place of the impactful direction and good stuff. There is some decent posture stylistically. It's nothing out there, but it's an acceptable way to start. And the detailed character art for Saito, big old thumbs up. No Oro funny face. That is tragic. It's the best beginning you can hope for, as Takaki Wada manages the introduction between Kenshin and Kaoru. The animation of these characters is excellent. Wada has demonstrated a wide range of expressions, as seen in Kaoru's reactions and Kenshin's progressive transformation into a goofier version of himself, complete with Terumi Nishi stances. Just looking at the images, it conveys a lot about these two and is incredibly expressive and entertaining. The awkward part of Kenshin is expertly portrayed in the character animation. It also gives Kaoru a robust and independent personality, as demonstrated by her chewing out Kenshin. Using spacing, Wada draws the characters widely apart to create unpredictable and furious movement. However, the drawing usually depicts a figure staring blankly at the sword, which doesn't convey any of that. In this section, the lips are the only moving part in the revised take. The difference is that this is the first exchange between the show's two main characters, so it's still mostly stills, with a little movement here and there. Even though there's an additional degree of significance, the remake retains the atmosphere of a regular anime chat. Many speech sections have almost no animation, but the directors frequently use their imagination to frame conversations in intriguing or occasionally emotional ways. In this instance, however, the storyboard has been, again, flattened. In the original, there are many tight, tilted camera angles used, like when Kaoru charges forward or Kenshin slips. It's purposely done to give the audience little information, so the actions feel unpredictable and thus sudden. It adds a sense of energy to the moment, but once more, the new interpretation is quite open and direct in presenting the material. This brings us to the second significant change. I can appreciate the excellent character art. Furuhashi is still going strong as one of the best anime directors of the 1990s, and one aspect of his work that draws you in is the way he handles background art and the environment, treating them as living things rather than just flat, attractive objects as is typical in this genre in anime. This is a relatively easy episode. This scene takes place during the day and at night. The spectator doesn't witness that shift in time. Instead, it's a sudden visual cut rather than an apparent transition, which Furuhashi consistently does in his work. When you think about it, it sounds so obvious, but it helps to set a different tone between scenes. To be honest, they all sit throughout the entire series. Yamamoto, on the other hand, completely lacks that depth. Seldom is it shown in the storyboards either. Consider anything as fundamental as layering, for instance. It's an easy method of adding visual depth to a scene. The problem is that Yamamoto is a series director. He has been in the industry since the 1990s and created storyboards for shows like Bleach, Attack on Titan, and Ghost in the Shell. He especially enjoys storyboarding, but the pilot is usually meant to be your best or close to the best out of your regular attacks, so you kick off with a massive viewership. Take those shows like Trigun, Soul Eater, One Punch Man, and the original Rurouni Kenshin. If the pilot episode is a flop, is the show worth anybody's time? So the showdown, honestly, is good. Definitely one of the better parts of the episode. The staff extended the fight to a little more than the manga and the original anime take, which makes for a slightly more engaging climax. When compared to other anime from the 1990s, the fighting is pretty restricted and features quick camera pans across stills that flood the viewer's eyes with a billion impact frames. In some vital regions, even the art is a little more expressive. Additionally, it has fantastic sound effects that somehow conceal the lack of movement.
But Tosai the Manslayer. But Tosai carved the way into the new era, the Meiji era.
I adore how the sound of Kenshin springing into battle resembles a jet taking flight, and the sword effects are equally striking. The remake's sound design is more rooted, but in my opinion, that makes it a little less distinct. I believe that this adaptation's most significant selling point is how much more faithful it is to the original work. If you take that away, though, it's simply your typical shonen anime fare. I doubt it'll have quite the same level of visual richness as the original, if any. But I can understand why some folks are glad to see their favorite show returning. Check out our other videos on your screen. Stay tuned!